Up for formidable Mount Kenya and Nyanza political alliance ahead of the 2022 polls. Well, this is a question among the lips of Kenyans following the weekend visit by hundreds of Kikuyu elders to ODM leader Raila Odinga's rural Nyanza home. The two communities were united during independence, but soon thereafter became political rivals. Tonight, our political affairs reporter Murimi Mwangi examines the prospects of such an alliance and explains political landmines likely to stand in the way of such a deal.
If the Mount Kenya slopes and the shores of Lake Victoria were to have a political conversation about their natives, it would certainly feature the laughter and the tears that have for decades defined the love-hate relationship that has characterized Kenyan politics whenever the two regions either unite or compete for the country's top leadership. And yet another political chapter, it appears, is in the offing. If these cultural rights that colored a Kikuyu elders' visit to their Luo counterparts at former Prime Minister Raila Odinga's Bondo home in Siaya are anything to go by.
Jamaa walikuja hapa atikotewa Raila sini hapana. Mseme ukweli, hakuna mtu alisema mambo kama haya. Hakuna yote ambaye alisema haya.
But what are the probable scenarios and likely roadblocks to a Mount Kenya lakeside political alliance? Perhaps the most biting headache among power brokers behind this strategy is the perceived mistrust between the lake and the mountainside. A suspicion analysts retrace to the 60s when an acrimonious fallout between Raila and Uhuru's fathers, Jaramogi Odinga and Mzee Kenyatta respectively, exposed the two regions to a protracted ideological rivalry, stretching to such emotive matters as land and the ugly monster of alleged nepotism and corruption that still haunts the two families politically to date. A suspicion escalated decades later when Raila fell out with retired President Mwai Kibaki barely 3 years into the NAC government on, among other issues, Kibaki's alleged failure to honor a pre-election agreement that could have seen Raila take up a new post of Prime Minister. But has this 2018 Kenyatta-Odinga ceasefire deal after the duo's chaotic 2017 face-off really buried the hatchet?
These are the things we really need to talk about so that we are not seen like people who have, who everybody is something, yet we keep quiet and we don't reach out to explain ourselves to them. And as we go on, we continue being looked at like people who are aloof, people who are not concerned, who don't have the feelings of others.
This election that is coming will be on issues. And William Ruto has captured the imagination of the hustlers nation, and they are 90% of this country. And this is a big wave that somebody today is talking about the lowly people, the people down there. Even talking about them is good enough, even before you do anything.
Yet a storm ignited by Deputy President William Ruto in Kenyatta's Mount Kenya backyard poses yet another threat to the prospects of a mountain and lakeside political alliance. Ruto is banking on a nationwide scoop of votes, majorly from the lowest cadre of society,
Launching the BBI.
in a move viewed as an attempt to block any boardroom-originated Kenyatta succession plan, including a likely Odinga presidency under the Building Bridges initiative. Incidentally, BBI also proposes an expansion of the executive to accommodate a new post of Prime Minister, seen as a likely Mount Kenya takeaway from an Odinga presidency.
The first president of this republic had a huge problem with his deputy, Jaramogi Odinga. Kibaki had a problem with Raila Odinga during the Nusu Mokate government. Our current president is having a problem with his deputy. So what is a guarantee that the working environment will be smooth when we bring an additional 3 people?
If you tell us that it was agreed in the handshake that there will be a mass referendum, that is not true. If you tell us that we must have a referendum, whether we like it or not, That is dictatorship.
KTN News has learned of existence of plans to have the Luo Council of Elders visit their Kikuyu counterparts in central Kenya. A routine of meetings expected to smooth the way for a vigorous Kenyatta Odinga tour of the country after release of the validated version of the BBI report. Murimi Mwangi, KTN News.
Well, it definitely was a busy weekend in Bondo following that particular tour by 700 Kikuyu elders. But on the stand